But the kid is not my son. Ooh, she says I am the...
Hi, welcome back to this episode of the Book Club. We're going to continue our discussion on the book I'm Perfect, You're Doomed, Tales from a Jehovah's Witness Upbringing by Kyria Abrahams. I'm Riley.
I'm Glory.
I'm Grace.
I'm Belle.
And today we're going to talk about how Kyria's mental health affected her throughout her life and how her parents affected her and just the way that she grew up in her upbringing. Does anyone have any starting thoughts?
Well, I think the strictness of her upbringing is what eventually led to her, wanting to seek rebellion and to completely break away from what her parents have said her entire life.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think people always say, teenagers, act out, but I really think that, sometimes that is the case, and she really was just doing that. And I also think there were some undiagnosed, mental health issues along the way, which contributed to her rebelling. And I think it definitely had a negative impact on her, growing up and the experiences that she faced.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the rebellion is just the only way she saw as living somewhat of a normal life.
Yeah.
Because she was never going to live a normal life from the get-go. And, she took the highest extreme when trying to be what she considered normal.
So basically in this book, Kyria goes, she's raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and basically there's a bunch of strict rules that are placed on her. She's not allowed to celebrate birthdays, she's not allowed to celebrate Christmas, and just some more strict upbringing things. She wasn't allowed to watch Smurfs or play with Smurfs, and it was a big thing. So things like that throughout her life really affected her. So that caused her to act out a lot of times, which is what we were discussing. Another thing too in the book is that at one point in her life, when she was very depressed, she tried to attempt suicide, and that wasn't taken super seriously. How did that, what do you guys think about that?
I think that she almost thought, that she, almost wouldn't be gone after that. And so she was just so, brushing over it when talking about it. But I think it was, a lot more serious to her than she, cared to share, because the humorous tone in the book just, really made her almost blow over that.
And I think it's really strange how her parents just left her on the floor. That doesn't seem to be just a Jehovah's Witness thing. It seems to be a parenting issue.
Yeah.
I agree, and again, I also wonder if their lack of parenting and kind of lack of compassion contributed to her being, I hate to say it this way, but basically being the way that she is. She didn't have a lot of care by her parents growing up, and like Grace was saying, when she did commit suicide, her mother just left her on the floor, which is really heartless and cold, and I don't even think medical attention was sought for her, if I'm not mistaken.
She
and
was just kind of left on the floor.
What parent, if you care, why wouldn't you rush your child to the hospital? Why would you just leave them on the floor? She could have died, and her organs could have literally failed. So it really is strange. It makes you question her parents' ability to parent, in my opinion.
And that kind of attention, I don't want to say attention seeking, but it led to that. That kind of acting out in order to get to garner some kind of help, or cry out for help. That kind of behavior you see a lot throughout the book. She's constantly trying.
Additionally, we see that Kyria begins to seek out validation from other sources. Even when she was married, she committed adultery with multiple other men, from her poets.
Yeah,
in her online chat rooms.
she just really almost needed everybody in her life to just worship her, because she just could not just have one person. She was so hungry for attention. And another point in the book, earlier on, she starts to cut herself because she just wants people to notice her, and that's the only way in her eyes that she thinks someone will actually notice her and care.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of this desire for wanting people to see, to notice her in an extreme way like that, comes from the fact that she grew up thinking that she was better than everyone else in a way, because of the way that they were raised as Jehovah's Witnesses, and the fact that they had to believe okay, so all of my friends are actually gonna everyone around me is gonna die, and I'm actually I'm chosen basically, and I get to survive all of this, but they're all gonna die. So I think that's an interesting way to think as you grow up, and you see how that really affects her, and how she thinks she deserves all this attention and she needs to act out in order to gain that.
Yeah, but at the same time, her friends weren't like that. You know, when she would constantly be over at, what was that girl's name? Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
When she was constantly at Sarah's house, and Sarah kind of pushed her away.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're wanting too much attention, Kyria. Like, please get out of my house.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's more of a her thing than all the Jehovah's Witnesses.
That's true.
I think it's just like part of her mentality that she is the chosen one, even in her own head. Like, it's not just her religious beliefs. It like went into her, like, how she acts and how she like brings herself up and like talks to people about herself.
Yeah.
Her ego has been so high from religion that it just can't be brought down.
So just kind of,
Just difference in parenting?
what'd you say?
A difference in parenting? Because I feel like that's the only
I
thing
feel like
different. Because the religion's the same.
Yeah, but just kind of branching off of what Riley was saying, I definitely feel like, and I know I already said it, but I'm going to bring it up again, her mental health issues are playing a big part in this. So, yes, the religion is causing it's probably like the root of these problems, it's safe to say, but literally like her undiagnosed mental health like condition and issues are like probably exacerbating the problem here, and like it like hasn't been taken care of. Like, she just can't really cope, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, that was kind of my understanding of it. Because, I mean, I feel like it's not normal to seek out validation, like, when you're already with someone from, like, external sources. Like, that's not right. It's not
like the
typical.
way that she did,
Yeah, so I definitely think that maybe, like, her not being totally, I'm gonna use in, like, air quotes, like, right, like, in the head probably contributed to these issues, and, like, but no one also ever kind of pointed out to her that, like, hey, you need to get help, because it was never brought up, like, in her religion.
Which is also why I think that might differ from her peers or people her age, too.
For sure.
That grew up in that and aren't the same.
Parenting thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Which could affect her mental health issues too, and like the way that she viewed herself and the world around her. Yeah.